Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing fantastic. And that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description below. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. You've seen what's been going on. If you've been watching the channel over the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks, you've noticed the trend. For those of you who haven't been here, welcome back. Second point is that we received earlier this year, widespread news that by the end of 2024, the cryptocurrency market was going to not only hit new all-time highs, but was also going to go like really high in the sky price-wise. We are currently in Q4, and the last 2 to 3 weeks, as I said, have kind of been filled with analysts every single day, either talking about where Bitcoin's price is going, where the crypto market will be by the end of the year, price predictions, and or Q4, I dare say, speculation. The weirdest part of all of this, the weirdest part by far, is that all the analysts are coming up with the exact same answer. For those of you who don't know, as I've stated in previous videos, it's weird. It's actually incredibly weird because even for stocks, even for housing, there's always a different outlook by everyone inside the ecosystem. Some people think that housing prices will go lower. Some people think that housing prices are going to skyrocket because of all the demand and because of the corporate landlords. You have a lot of people who think gold will go higher. A lot of people think that gold is going to crash soon because it might be in a slight bubble. There's always two sides to the coin. For some reason in crypto, right now, everyone's standing on the exact same side. And it's just odd because I'm used to a bit of a rebuttal or being like, well, that guy's clearly insane. Bitcoin's not going back to $2,000. Everyone has the exact same idea. Bitcoin's price is apparently mirroring past halving cycles, signaling a positive Q4 outlook. Cryptocurrency analyst and trader, Ali Martinez, we hear about them quite often, at least recently, has pointed to historical data indicating that Bitcoin's price in 2024 is following a pattern similar to previous halving cycles, signaling a bullish outlook for Q4 of this year, that is October, November, and December. According to Martinez's post on Twitter, Bitcoin experienced significant gains of 61% in Q4 of 2016 and went up by 171% in Q4 of 2020. And the price movement seen in 2024 so far suggests the potential for another bullish rally in the final quarter where we are right now. Everyone has a different chart or a different kind of metric or a different idea or a different posture or a different line or a different graph or a different golden this or a different cup and handles. Everyone has a different metric for what they use, or even stock to flow, how much Bitcoin compared to gold, how much Bitcoin's being mined, how many people are in the network. And they're all coming to the exact same conclusion that this is meant to be a spectacular year, if you will, following into the next year, which is always the crazier year for bull runs. The expected numbers that we just heard, I think a day or two ago, is now officially, I think one analyst is below 100,000. There's one, is it Peter Brandt? I don't remember. There's one analyst who says $88,000 by the end of the year, etc. Everyone else is basically 100K plus by the time we get to December or in the middle of December. The analysis comes as investors look for historical trends to assess Bitcoin's price trajectory, heading into the final months of the year. And there's a little pretty chart right there with lines and stuff that are going up. Historically, Bitcoin's halving cycles have been closely watched as key indicators for bull markets. In both 2016 and 2020, the price of Bitcoin saw substantial growth in the months following its block halving reward, a process that occurs roughly every 4 years and cuts the number of Bitcoin generated by the network in half, thus the halving. This was the weirdest halving that we've ever had thus far. Who knows what 2028 will hold, but thus far this has been the craziest one, because normally, if you know the numbers, after around 3 months from the halving, we tend to begin to push back up in price. This time took a good smidge longer. But the expectation, if you remember before, the charts that we were getting were all showing that September tends to be an okay month. And historically, October and November, over the last multiple cycles, has been an exceptional month, or months, for the cryptocurrency space. Martinez pointed out that Bitcoin's price movements in 2024 have closely tracked the patterns seen in both 2016 and 2020, signaling that the asset could be poised for significant gains in Q4 of this year. If the trend holds, investors could expect another bullish run, similar to the 61% growth in 2016 and 171% surge in 2020. The numbers, for some reason, they weren't on this article. Everyone was talking about this, but there were no actual numbers that the person gave, so I had to find another article. Apparently, the idea is that if Bitcoin replicates the same growth and movement that we've seen before in the past, this would get us to, once again, the exact same numbers except for the second one. This would get us to a $100,000 Bitcoin to a $172,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. We have only thus far always heard the 100K to 150,000. There was another analyst, their charts showed that we would either get from, I think it was 105 or 107,000 to 155,000. So this is also a new one, just a little bit more bullishier. It's fascinating is not the word anymore. It's just very odd that everyone's coming to the exact same conclusion. I said in another recent video, this will be very fascinating to see if any of these numbers actually come true, from the perspective of, if everyone's chart is saying the exact same thing and we don't get there, it's going to be incredibly awkward for every single one of these analysts. If we do get to $123,000 by the end of the year, it means that all of their charts were correct, like all of their charts except for the guy who said 88K. That then means that next year, all their charts are also saying that they're all now above 400K, for those of you who don't know. The earlier pendulum swings were between 200 and 400,000. All of these people for 2025's cycle have a Bitcoin price over 400,000 to around $600,000 per coin, per Bitcoin. Yeah, another day, another prediction, another analysis, and it is relatively similar to the other ones. I, once again, find it very fascinating that we're all getting the exact same answer. Let's see, I don't know, let's say the end of this month. Let's see what ends up happening. I'm also, once again, as I stated before, middle of November is my time frame. Typically, historically, once any election is done, crypto prices tend to rally. A lot of people always forget, and I don't know how, that every Bitcoin halving is an election year. Every single one. And always, whenever anyone gets elected, the markets, including stock markets, tend to rally because it's a relief that someone's there, someone's in office, someone has won, and therefore markets can kind of begin to like not be as stressed anymore. Yeah, that's the, I mean, listen, I would love a $172,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. That would definitely mean like a $7,000 or $8,000 Ether, right? Or am I going completely insane? I'm pretty sure that that's what that number would mean. How high would XRP be at that point? Where's Cardano? Like, if we get to 172,000 or even $155,000 Bitcoin, have the other altcoins then already hit their previous all-time high? Do we already have a $4 Cardano? Do we have like a $3, $4 XRP? Interesting, right? Yeah. That's the historical performance future projections news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in very, very popular news, the Bank of New York, the BNY, has received a variance by following the SEC's Staff Accounting Bulletin Number 121 SAB 121 guidelines. According to the host of the Thinking Crypto podcast, this variance will allow BNY to hold Bitcoin as part of its business operations. You may have noticed the other trend this year has been, I want to say the word marred quite heavily by stablecoin news. Constantly, there's companies who are making stablecoins, creating stablecoins, launching stablecoins, having press conferences about stablecoins. That's not a joke. That also actually happened. The other part has been institutions and banks getting into this space. It's been a gigantic focus of the market over the course of this year. Once, twice a week, we get some kind of banking news, like earlier this year when I was expecting everyone to freak out and no one did, where we heard, that 12 central banks are officially holding Bitcoin. We know that they have Bitcoin. And I think the market actually even went down that day because I think retail investors don't really understand exactly what's going on and how the world is changing. So banks know what's up. They know what's going on. They understand that there's money to be made. And this was made abundantly clear when BlackRock got into the space. That's why there was so much chatter about it, because a lot of people were asking in the beginning, who cares? Why is BlackRock so important? Who cares about Fidelity? Who cares about ETFs and all these other things? We don't need these things in our market to be able to succeed, but they do logically speed up the process for all of us, in the cryptocurrency market to go to brand new heights. So the news is that another bank is officially in the cryptocurrency space. They're trying to hold crypto. One of the earlier news stories about a lot of banks was that they mainly wanted to be able to custody crypto. A lot of them heard from, if not all of them, heard from their clients who basically said, hey, I've been working with you for 12 years. I'm not really in the mood to open up a Coinbase account. I don't want to have to put so-and-so anywhere else. Can I simply custody my money with you? And that's why a lot of banks have opened up crypto exchanges, or they have a buying and selling feature for their clients to air quote simplify things. That was also the interest behind the Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of people who already had brokerage firms wouldn't then have to sign up somewhere else. You were able to simply do it through the actual company that you were already using for the last 20 years to get your stocks, et cetera, et cetera. You want to have access to Bitcoin, a securitized version of Bitcoin, where therefore you can get the ETFs through your brokerage firm. Someone wrote on Twitter, BNY, America's largest custodian bank, did not know that, was identified as having received a variance from following the SEC's SAB 121, almost said 123, because anyway, accounting guidelines for its institutional crypto custody business. As part of a broader federal update on Monday, Chris Land, the general, blah, 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 and then the words kind of keep on going. So this made popular news, and I was a little, like a light smidge confused just because it sounded so familiar. So the news is that the Bank of New York, the BNY, I think it's called the BNY Mellon, if I'm not mistaken, is allowed to now custody cryptocurrencies because of the SEC's SAB 121. Once again, it sounded familiar, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I've heard this before. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is on the BNY's website from 2022. Yeah, a whole 2 years ago, where basically it says, for those of you not looking, it says BNY Mellon launches new digital asset custody platform. BNY Mellon today announced that its digital asset custody platform is live in the United States, with select clients now able to hold and transfer Bitcoin and Ether. This milestone reinforces BNY Mellon's commitment to support client demand for that means like a lot of rich people were going to them. Do you understand what you need for one of the oldest banks or any bank on the planet to have to literally bend the knee and be like, okay, like we're going to start accepting crypto, like you can custody it with us? That means like really rich people had been like, the word's probably not pressuring, but if you have a client who's worth $14 billion and they say, hey, like I want to, custody some crypto, do you offer it? And you say no to them, they're going to take their money and go somewhere else. Yeah, apparently it's America's oldest bank, 238 years old. I definitely remember hearing this before. This is another article from 2022. BNY Mellon becomes first U.S. bank to provide custody of cryptocurrencies. So I'm not really sure what the first story was about or why it became so popular, or Michael Saylor also like retweeted it. Maybe they're allowed to do like another layer because of the paperwork and the SEC thing, but the news was touted as like, this is the first time this is ever happening. Like we should all be rejoicing because no other bank ever within the history of the United States has been, but they did it already 2 years ago. So I'm not really, yeah. Banks continue to get into the space, as do companies and institutions. I would say on the side, to continue to remain vigilant from a vantage point of, don't forget that all these companies are getting into the space to basically like get your money and get control of your money. Pay attention to when you hear that Visa and MasterCard and PayPal are like buddy with crypto now, when the entire point is that they basically want to keep the old legacy system the way that it is and just simply integrate crypto so that you're basically at their mercy again as they hold all of your coins. So just something to think about. That's the BNY Mellon. 2 years ago became the first U.S. bank to provide custody of cryptocurrencies. And yeah, let's move on. Also in popular news, they're back, kind of, not really. The Terra Luna Classic community recently made significant strides by burning 726 million USTC tokens from the Anchor protocol. This development follows the community's approval of Proposal 12135 and a bankruptcy court authorization allowing Terraform Labs to wind down their operations. Both Luna Classic and the stablecoin experienced slight upward momentum following these events. The Terra Luna Classic project was extremely popular around 2 years ago. Them and Shiba Inu kind of dominated the news space. If you were here, you definitely remember it was almost every single day. Terra Luna Classic, similar to Shiba Inu, I believe they have like an egregious circulating supply. Like hundreds of billions. Like a lot of, no, even more than that. We heard the other day, I think Shiba Inu had 1 quadrillion coins. I don't understand. I don't understand why coins would ever make a project with that many coins and then decide that they want to become serious and then start burning the coins. Like Shiba Inu was once again meant to be a joke. And then the problem is that like at some point people, not that they took them seriously, but the price was pumping. So they said, okay, like we're going to be a real project now. We're going to have DeFi and Web3 and crypto exchanges and all these other things on our platform. But you made 1 quadrillion coins. Even if you were making it as a joke, wouldn't it have made more sense to just make it at 100 billion coins or 1 million coins? I'm not really exactly sure. So Terra Luna Classic came about after the fiasco with Terra Luna. They were also recently in the news. It wasn't anything significant, if we can be honest. There's a whole bunch of like bankruptcy proceedings that have been going on where basically a lot of the companies that got in trouble-ish around the time of the FTX collapse are basically like finishing their court proceedings right now, and like they're allocating money. There was something recently also about FTX and money that they owe people or companies or something like that is going to begin to get paid out. There was also what do you call it? People were lightly afraid because the people from FTX were mainly the reason why Solana became popular in the first place. They held a large portion of the supply. And then when they went belly up, they basically sold off a bunch of their Solana to basically cover their debts. And now apparently they have more coins that they're looking to sell off to basically cover or the finishing amount of what they actually owe people who were using their platform and other investors who are owed large portions of money. I mean, I said a couple of days ago, I would love to see more like altcoin news and things like that, but this is not exactly what I meant. If we are actually experiencing this, rush up now of movements in price, we typically start to hear a little bit more about a lot of altcoins floating around as far as like popularity and like what ends up being the coin that people kind of look for. Cool. That's the Terra Luna Classic news. Let's see if they pop back up in the news again. They have a lot more coins to burn before they even become relevantly popular again. Yeah, Terra Luna Classic news. Let's move on. Also sure, I'm not going to knock it, but I'm also not going to pretend that this is okay. This week, Ethereum core developers decided that they will split the network's next major upgrade, called Pectra, into at least 2 separate parts, with the first update being set to happen around February of 2025. That means February, March. That means this won't happen until around April of next year. And it happens every time. The people from Ethereum always announce that there's going to be a new upgrade, and they always choose winter, like the beginning of year winter, and I don't know why. And it never happens when they say that it's going to actually happen. So it's always an 8-week kind of delay, usually around spring. So this will probably happen around spring of 2025. The last several Ethereum upgrades, including Deneb Cancun, which dropped in March, and Chapella, which went live in 2023, have ushered in meaningful changes both for blockchain developers and everyday Ethereum users. I think they have higher transaction speeds, and I think fees were actually lowered. You can tell the difference now when you're moving around Ether or anything on the network. It is a little bit lower than it was before. Sure. So apparently Pectra is now the topic of discussion. I will be completely honest. I don't think the only thing that people really explicitly cared about for Ethereum was staking. Moving over from proof of work to proof of stake. Stake of proof staking. Whatever it's called. And now that we have that, a lot of the upgrades kind of, I don't want to say the word fall flat, but they mean a lot more to developers, to cryptocurrency exchanges, and or people who are like staking massive amounts of Ether. The everyday normal person, myself included, is just kind of waiting for, once again, Ethereum, the actual main chain, to have over 50,000, 60,000 transactions per second. to have like 1 cent transaction fees. A lot of these other things are kind of like, they feel bloated in a way. We keep hearing, it's once again similar to Cardano. We keep hearing that all these new amazing, wonderful things are going to happen, and they're like incremental changes, but the changes take years to actually take place. Myself not being a coder or developer, I assume it's incredibly difficult, but it always feels like, you know what it feels like? It kind of feels like iPhones. Like every year there's like a little something that gets fixed. There's one extra camera. They take away a camera. It has some extra megapixels. You can swipe your finger in a different direction and this and so happens. But like, it's not really that different to the model that was kind of there before. During a call on Thursday, Ethereum's core developers decided that there were too many items on the wish list for Pectra, which if all pushed out at the same time, might make the upgrade overly complex. Instead, they opted to split the upgrade into at least 2 separate events. This will probably be 3 events, probably a good 50% of something, 40% of something, and then the last little bit will be whatever 10% they decide to like additionally add in. With the first part set for early next year, several proposals have been greenlit, yada, yada, yada. Where's the other thing? The first, for example, is this will end the tedious practice of needing to hold small amounts of ETH to pay for gas fees on the Ethereum mainnet and layer 2 networks. If you haven't been using Ether at all or any of the other chains and stuff like that, sometimes if you are trying to do a smart contract or trying to move coins or trying to do whatever, you have to pay for it in ETH. So you will usually be warned. You are sending these coins and it is going to use ETH. Cool. After this transaction is over and you have paid for the gas fee, you will not have enough ETH to be able to pay for your next transaction. It's always this way. Currently, gas fees on Ethereum, Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, and several other networks must be paid in ETH, regardless of what token is being transferred. Apparently, there's going to be an update EIP 7702, which will end this requirement by allowing users to pay fees in other cryptocurrencies. Great. That makes so much more sense. I never understood the idea of I'm sending cup coin. Wait, I have to pay in Ether? At least like for other chains, like how you have to have like a minimum XRP in your wallet or other coins, like it kind of makes sense because it's those coins. But if I'm using something else that isn't that coin, it's on top of it, why would I have to? Cool. The requirement, yada, yada, account abstraction, so and so and so, meaning third parties will be able to sponsor transactions and pay your gas fees for you. Fantasticals. So we'll be able to outsource gas fees, USDC, blah, 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 so and so and so. Where's the other part? Another improvement will allow people who are staking Ether to receive rewards if they have more than 32 Ether. Let me explain. If you deposited 50 or 60 or 70 Ether into the network, you were only receiving rewards for the first 32. Everything else after was nonsense. So what you had to do or currently have to do is you would have to open up multiple validator points. So you would have to have one contract with 32, one contract with 32, and then the other contract would have to have 8 inside of it. Or rather, you couldn't because you needed 32 minimum, because you would have to join a staking pool. So up until now, validators have only been able to collect yield if they deposited 32 ETH within the network. Any amount of ETH above that would not generate any money unless they deposited another full 32 Ether from a separate validator. So basically, they're going to end that. They're going to make sure that they change it so that you can just kind of throw whatever you want into the network, because I logically assumed that that's what it was from the get-go, as I'm sure many other people did as well. But nope. You can now, you now have to put them all in separate contracts, but soon you'll be able to just use one. Right, so cool. This upgrade will be here sometime in April. I assume the second part will be here April, May, June, July. Let's say August, September. It's usually like a 2 seasonal wait for any kind of mega Ethereum upgrade to kind of finish. Once again, not knocking it. I think it's cool, but I think a lot of these things are kind of, if you're a bank, if you're an institution, if you're a developer, like these mean a lot more to you. The average person doesn't even have like 2 Ether, 3 Ether. So having 32 is like, whoa, that's insane. Having any more and all these other kinds of things, like basically revolving around, yeah, you understand. Cool. Excited to see it eventually. Can't wait for Ethereum to become the world computer. If that's even still a thing. That was one of the original ideas for Ether. No one talks about that anymore, like having websites and stuff on it and all these other kinds of things. Alrighty, I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.